the PgMDude experience with a French accent. Yes, welcome to the very first episode of our podcast. It's me, the dude, and I hope you guys are gonna be excited by what we're gonna talk about in those podcasts, which is a new formula that we're adding to the YouTube channel. So, first episode, we're gonna talk about Apex, obviously, and what's happening now. It's been 2 weeks and a half that the season 16 Revelry has not been released, and I kind of feel like the honeymoon phase of all those little changes and the anniversary event who just happened is a little bit wearing off. And where are we from there? And what can we expect from Respawn and EA and all the gaming and content creator around the game for the coming weeks, months, or maybe even years? So, yeah, I was a bit worried when they released the new season. They would say they were very, very, very excited about all the new things they were gonna have, and the anniversary event, the skins, the rework on all the legends. And to be honest, the first 2 weeks were awesome. Like, all my friends were online. We play all the time. We had a lot of fun getting those packs, finishing obviously those new legendaries. And after about, like, I don't know, 10 days, I started to be a bit worried. Like, this is the end of the event in just like 4 days. What's gonna happen? That was first my biggest concern is, do we get to keep the balloons? That was the biggest concern. What's up, Hydra? Do we get to keep the balance? Because I was like convinced if after 2 weeks the event is over, we go back in the lobby homepage screen like normal, basic, and we don't get those stupid balloons in the sky around the map and fireworks, that the magic of this new season will give like a strong message, like it's gone. It's over. There's nothing. We're back to the same old Apex that we play and love, but no more. No more exciting things. But they kept the balloon and the fireworks. So that's already a positive, if you ask me. Love those balloons. Every time we drop, it feels like it's something special. The magic of the new season is there. So the rework of the new legend is awesome. It brings new perspective to the game. We'll see how the comps are gonna go, and Caustic hasn't been nerfed. Thank you for that. Other legend have been, some other have been buffed. I mean, that's the usual. The new modes also, time will tell if they're interesting or not to use and to play on the long run. I like the deathmatch mode. It's quite cool for a little bit like warming up. I think this is quite interesting. And otherwise, the rest is it's pretty much the same. Like, people were expecting to be back on Olympus, and it didn't happen. And I kind of miss Kings Canyon. So we're still running the same old Storm Point and Broken Moon. World's Edge. World's Edge is an awesome map, but I'm guessing a lot of people still maybe get starting to have a little bit of overdose. Since it's been there, Olympus was supposed to take over last split, but it did not due to some bugs in the map. So we've been stuck on World's Edge for almost, I don't know, 6 months or something. But anyway, it's a cool map. Nobody cares about, nobody will ever complain about dropping on Fragment forever. So overall, I think that this new season is exciting, but I kind of wanted to see a little bit more. And we have a new event coming next week, so this will also tell us what to expect and what are they working on, because the fact that this new event is coming like very quickly, just a week apart from the birthday, should also bring some momentum, keep the momentum high, and keep some dynamics in everything that we like to do. And those skins, unfortunately, some are new, but some are just recolors. And this will bring us to the first topic of conversation: is how can the game move on forward with excitement if they keep doing that? The last Valentine event was just 3 recolors, and that was it. And I think people start to have a little bit of overdose of recolors, since I kind of follow closely those legendary skins in lobbies as I'm hunting them. I do notice that the new events beside the anniversary, which gives a lot of thrill to everybody, the other skins are less popular. So this will also bring us to a different subject on a different time. But basically those recolors, the way Respawn EA describe them, is that if for the new players, because they are really spending like 90% on their efforts on new players, unfortunately, they want new players to be able to enjoy the old skins, but they don't want the old players to rather say this is the same skin I have and it's boring, or the new players to say, hey, it's just an old skin, I want something new at the same time. So they came up with this decision of making some recolors, so new players can get new skins and the old player can all have old skins, which also preserve the kind of OG aspect of some skin, despite the fact that they still re-release them all the time. So I think here there could be some improvement, but we'll talk about that at a different time. So beside those new skins, what's next? Well, the LTDs, the new modes are gonna be probably an important part of how we get not too bored of the game. Arenas has been removed, so I'm sure a lot of Arenas aficionados, some people were actually only playing and grinding rank on Arenas, might be disappointed. So it's a little bit too soon to tell on terms of gameplay pure wise. So, but in terms of cosmetic, it's a little bit worrisome if they want to keep focusing on new players. What are the old players gonna do? Are they willing to still invest in the game? Those big events, prestige skins, and so on, it feels like it takes forever for them to be released, because it's basically once every season, so every 3 months. So if you don't have your legend on this one, you might have to wait 3 to 6 more months. Same for the heirloom. Horizon, I know a lot of Horizon men who have been waiting for a long time to get the heirloom, and and the skins, because at some point you're gonna get some overdose. I don't have stats, but I'm pretty confident that most people who play Apex for 2 to 3 years, beside what I call the whales, who's gonna buy every single event, every single heirlooms in the entire game, most of people are gonna first play the game, see if they enjoy it. Once they enjoy it, they're gonna invest in the game, and maybe even more. And after a while, the kind of raising curve of investment, of financial investment in the game, is gonna plateau and stay there for a while, and maybe drop down, because people are gonna say, I got 20 legendary skins, this new one is not bad, but do I really need it or not? You have new guns with new cosmetic, maybe, but those are not really like a huge investment and financial expectation. People can go inside through the game. So that's one thing from EA. They focus more on the new players, and because those are the ones who are more gonna be inclined to invest heavily in the game. So in my opinion, what is gonna make the game last, beside those events and maybe new mods they might come out, is the relation that Apex got with the eSport organization, I will say, but I will just say the eSport in general. if you think about gaming as same as a sport, like basically eSport as a sport, any people who start a new sport, their dream will be to have the sport obviously practiced by as many people as much as possible. But I mean, the goal for those new sports will be to be represented at the Olympics or at a World Cup or things like that. And this is where the tricky part is happening here, because a game doesn't really need to become competitive to survive. It can just be a normal game. But so that's actually really like what is the difference between sport, because there's still, of course, there's obvious difference. Esport is still raising, but you can consider a game as a pure product. This is just a product that a developing company is making, and once this product has expired or sees its player base decline, they don't necessarily need to keep pushing. They can just release a new game or a second version of the game, like Overwatch did after a while, and that's it. You can just keep producing new games, making incomes, and move on. But what is important here is that when you start to get attached to a game, and games like Apex are highly addictive, you kind of want to play this game like some every day, every time, every evening they have the opportunity to do so. And therefore you want this game to last as long as possible. You want the player base to be constantly increasing. You don't want to end up on dead servers with nobody's playing, whether it's a pub or it's a run game. And therefore, this is where I believe the eSport has a strong role in the longevity of the game. Because if you see it that way, when you're starting to be really invested in a game, you might you want to see who's the best at it. Obviously, some people just want to play it casually. Some other likes to challenge themselves in rank. But overall, people who really master the game, whether they are streamers or people who play in competition, because this is actually two different categories. Some people can do both. Some people just rather focus simply on eSport and some other on streaming. But you need to generate some new content, some new challenges, some amazing things that those guys are doing for you to be driven to replicate those or surpass those, or to challenge them, or hope you can find them in a lobby and challenge yourself so you can win. So it's very important for the gaming industry to have all those surroundings of professional and streamers around, enabled to first make a successful launch of a game, obviously, but also keep the game relevant in time. Because if those people with millions of followers stop playing the game and start to play another game, it's very likely that most of the people who are watching them are gonna move on from the game and follow what they're doing, play this new game, or and so on and so on and so on. So at some point, streaming is gonna run into like a daily schedule routine that will self-content. But the fact of having competition is always gonna create New Year challenges and New Year opportunities for players and teams and organizations to rise and to benefit from those events. And this is where right now we have a small undecided, I will say, I will not call it an issue, but there is something going on with Respawn EA and the eSport industry. And I don't want to separate Respawn from EA, because even though they are two different entities, gaming development company and EA, which is a behemoth giant gaming label. The decision and the direction are taken together on their side. So basically, we are in a kind of triangles right now. We have the EA Respawn, we have the players, everybody who's gonna play their games, and then we have the organizations, the entities who's gonna participate in the promotion of the game, whether through eSport or through streamings. And this is where it's a little bit tricky, because EA Respawn obviously needs player. They need people to play their game. Player need EA because they need them to keep updating and working on the game. And they also need organization for those who wants to become professional, who wants to become rather for gaming or for content creation. They want to really have the financial stability in order to continue their activity. It's of course they can do it independently through social media revenues, but if they really want to have a financial stability, especially as an esport player, having an organization is going to help them a lot in order to not worry every month how to pay their rent if they're independent, or how am I going to survive and start to make some money and get my own place if they are still living at home. So players need organization, and organization needs player. Obviously, they need to have people who are gonna make some content and represent their team and banners during competition. But they also need EA in order for those organizations to provide some financial incomes. Because if you compare that to a football league, you cannot only focus on the incomes that you're gonna make during those tournaments and during the winnings, because out of 20, last time there was 40 teams, if I'm correct, competing in London. If only 2 or 3 are benefiting heavily from the winning incomes, then all the other teams are just gonna slowly become financially unstable and unable to pay their players and to support themselves. Therefore, it's important for them to have a fluent stream flow of incomes, whether through sponsors or directly with the game. And this is where we started to see that that was about 2 years ago now. Yeah. During the GSU championship, they started to introduce the LGS skins. So I don't know if you remember those skins, but that was the very basic, no really organization or branding content. Then we had the Chameleon Pathfinder, the Beer Fused, and the Gorilla Caustic, and the Pantera Octane. So all those skins, when they came out, they had a kind of a deal with... this was mostly for the prize pool of the event, but it was based on a kind of crowdfunding event. So Respawn was going to sell those skins online, and 20% of it was gonna go into the prize pool of the LGS championship. So basically, people who buy the skin were gonna increase I think that was already set at 1 million, and they were gonna increase the cash prize for those players. So that's a way for EA Respawn to pay those players and organization. So in 1 week, that was pretty successful event. In 1 week, they made about 10 million profit. So it means that they gross around 8 million just for Respawn, and they managed to put 1.6 million into the prize pool of the tournament. So I have no idea overall if it's a financial successful event for Respawn compared to the different event. Remember that this is a EA made about 1 billion in terms of revenue on the game per year. So 10 million, of course, is not a small amount, but compared to 1 billion, it's still a small percentage. But I will say making 4 skins, gun charms, banners, and getting 8 million back in terms of profit, I believe covers easily the design development of those skins. And so I believe this first experience was quite good overall for both parties. And then during the last championship, they started again. They introduced the banners. So those banner frames, that was about 8 months ago during the LGS 2 championship. They decided to release banner frames of the different organizations who were going to participate during the competition. And of course, the store is a bit right now. The Apex store has always been problematic, but the first issue with this event was that they were releasing those banners during 2 weeks. The first weeks being the weeks of the competition, and once the competition ended during the weekend, on the next week they released the other banners. So I remember being pissed off because, if you don't know, I'm a big Complexity fan. Go Monsoon, and I found like that why can I not use the banner of the team I want to support during the competition, win or lose? I don't care. I just want to wear the banner. Just imagine if you go to the Football World Cup and they're gonna sell half of the country teams represented during the World Cup during the week of the World Cup, and then the second week they're gonna sell the jerseys of half of the other teams. It makes zero sense. Like, if you want to cheer up for your team, you want to wear the colors of your team during the event. You don't want to wait another week to buy your jersey, go back home, and I don't know, rewatch in replay the competition wearing your. So that was it. But also in terms of content creation, so we were going in a better direction towards like really connecting the game with those organizations. However, the income I believe generated from those, I don't have the numbers, was quite low, especially if you consider that only the banners themselves cost about 500 Apex coins. So this is probably the income, or I don't know if it's a share income with EA. And the bundles that they release also with a skin and a gun. So it was rather a legendary skin and an epic gun, or an epic skin and a legendary gun. Would cost overall 22,150 Apex coins. So this is probably what most people wanted to buy, except the diehard fan who just wanted the banners. So people use this opportunity to get a legendary skin, as well as a banner and a gun all together in a bundle. But obviously most of those incomes came out directly in the pocket of EA and Respawn. But that was the first step in the right direction of connecting the diehard fans and the organization. So you might say, what are you talking about here? I absolutely don't care about eSport. Why is it so important? I don't care about those organizations. I just want to play the game. I just like the game, and that's it. So why do we have to care about having organization or not being part of the game itself? So I will say you're not wrong, but you're not right neither. Because if you look at it this way, even if you just play the game, you probably already heard or watched countless amount of content created by some of those gamers, whether it's ASU or it's Timmy or on Twitch or Imperial Hall or is Watson. Those are familiar names for, I believe, I don't know, maybe more than half of the people who are actually playing the game. And in terms of percentage, I think about right now, 5% of people who are playing Apex are really, really invested in the LGS and the competitive scene. So those are really like the diehard fans who are gonna watch those events. Most of the people that they know, even people who don't participate at those events, will still stream the LGS on their during the playoffs weeks. Even SU or it's Timmy, they are watching and commenting and giving their feedback on those. So the 5% will still be focused on heavily on the scene, but many of people will still be aware that there is a competition. You don't need to be a fan of a World Cup to still play soccer. There is countless of people around the world who play basketball, and they are not going to necessarily follow every single NBA games on television. So overall, this number even increases, I will say around 10 to 25% when they actually follow the games. When they're gonna watch the LGS, they have some good numbers on YouTube in terms of viewership. So there is still a relevant part of the player base of Apex who's invested in those competitions. And those are the ones who also are very likely to be extremely devoted to the game on a very, very, very long run. By long run, I mean years and years and years to come. If you look at game like Counter-Strike, for example, I 100% believe that Counter-Strike is still relevant nowadays thanks to the eSport scene, thanks to all the competition that they're doing. If they stopped doing all those tournaments and competition, I don't think that Counter-Strike will last so long. As right here, right now, it's still extremely relevant. The competition are massive. The number of players is strong and solid. So the game is still living. And we're talking here about almost an antique, if I may say. I was playing Counter-Strike back in 2001. So that's almost 20 years ago. So that's what I believe EA and Respawn should see as a value, that they can have like a game who can last a decade and keep generating income. And on the long run, you have very little to non-investment to add to this game. Because creating a new game obviously is a huge financial endeavor, rather in terms of development of the game itself, but the promotion of the game, and you have no idea if the game is going to be appreciated and played. But when you have a game who's actually appreciated and played, and you know it's running strong, then you need to do everything in your power to keep it ongoing. So I think they should see a game like Apex Legends slightly differently than a normal franchise game, for example, that they will release every year. And I think, yeah, it's really important to differentiate those type of games. Mostly online games with open to competition, because those games are usually not gonna be changed or overthrown within the next month or within the next year. It's some games that people have been playing right now for years and years, and probably look themselves to play for more and more years to come. So it's important for them to organize that. And this is where the real problem started to appear. So yeah, I say it wasn't an issue, but it's a bit concerning. I will not say extremely concerning. I don't want to be too alarmist, but basically, and this is a news that dropped about 2 weeks ago. But during the competition, the last playoff in London last month, the EA Respawn were supposed to release a new set of skins for during the event. They were talking about it for like 6 months. We started to see more and more leaks coming out about like skins with organization colors, a little bit like they did for the market event, except that those were gonna be simple recolors. Not simple because they some of them look gorgeous, wearing the organization colors and logo types, so identity. So they were not like new skins by themselves, so no 3D modelings, which this is what I believe is also taking the most of investment and time and effort in a skin to do. But existing skins where they're gonna apply cosmetic of the organization on it. And this started 6 months ago in last September's. And so the skins were gonna come. And during the LGS in London last month, there was a discussion with one of the EA Respawn employee apparently, because those skins during those last 6 months got cancelled. Yeah. And because what the organization were expecting was that basically when you're gonna sell those skins, we're gonna get a percentage out of the sale. And like what they did 2 years ago. That was a bit indirect crowdfunding, but here there was like gonna be a direct source of income. And what EA Respawn responded apparently was like, why would we share half of our profit on an event when we can create our own skins and our own events and earn 100% of them? So what they proposed to those organizations was a $60,000 flat rate to be able to use their image and identity as much as they wanted to, apparently. So if you compare the 10 million income of 2 years ago during those 4 LGS skins, and now you put it as a 60,000 income for an organization, if you're lucky and you're a growing small organization, maybe $60,000 can look amazing. But for big established organization like Powerhouse, like TSM, Team Liquid, or G2, this kind of deal is absolutely counterproductive and will not really bring much interest for them to consider this as a really valid and an important source of income. So after this skin clash, we learned that some organization decided to completely quit the Apex scene. Apparently Team Liquid, G2, Invictus Gaming, Space Station Gaming, to name the first one, are not going to be represented anymore in Apex Legends. So for those who bought those their banners in Apex, I think those are going to become extremely vintage and extremely OG. And time will tell if they ever change their mind. But basically, they decided that due to the impossibility of them to continue investing in players and resources to represent the Apex scene, while making so little earnings. Because here we're not talking about winning. We're talking about an organization able to thrive and have continuous amount of income through a game. So this is where we are right now, and this is why it's a little bit worrisome for the future of Apex, because if they don't want to continue to promote the Apex scene, then what are we gonna get from the game and in the coming months, in the coming year? That's a good question. So this is again the point of view. Games are not eternal, but publishing company or organization can be. That's why it's important for them to be able to live and support each others. But a company game doesn't have obligation to share their revenue with those organizations, because it has to be a two-way deal in a way, because some of players, some of those organizations, they barely do any content anymore with Apex. Some players play other games, they barely stream on Apex. So you can also understand why Apex, Respawn, EA would wonder why would they keep investing in those organizations or sharing some profit from those organizations, and then those organizations doing little to nothing to promote the game constantly through social media or through event or through marketing behaviors. So it's a little bit complicated right now. Also, teams and players are unpredictable. Even though eSport has evolved a lot from now on, it's still hard for player. Some of them are still studying or still like really starting early years of their new adulthood and life. It's a bit hard to commit to those organizations and into a game, because we're still far from the earning we can make from organization like the NBA or the NFL or any World Cups. But if you look at those organizations, this is where the money is and thrives, and that's why it's important to have those competition and keep going. But I think esports still needs a little bit to grow, especially when they introduce a new game, because also the other issue you have with a game is, and the players, is that it's unlike a sport where you're gonna give 100, 200, 300% of your life in college, high school, and hope one day you're gonna be picked to university or maybe to the heavy leagues. You're not, very rarely you're not gonna decide after, I don't know, 6 years of competition as a football player, well, okay, next week I'm gonna start to play for the NBA. It doesn't happen like that. But in a video game, it kind of does, because of course some different types of games are available. But if you, for example, compare Apex Legends to any other first-person shooters, it's very easy and normal for players to, even during their career as Apex Pro players, they still do enjoy playing sometimes some other games, and they have no problem of switching those. If you look at some famous streamers, SU has been doing some crazy grind on other games than Apex, Valorant, also Modern Warfare is another competition, and they have no problem switching back and forth to those games, which basically the mechanics are a little bit different, but it's basically point and shoot. Movements are need to reset, but after just a few days you're set, unlike a sport when it's something completely new. Even just changing a team, for example, in football, and learning the books and the strategy of the new team it takes weeks, if not months, if not years to learn. While a player who's gonna change an organization is gonna basically probably adapt or change their legend and get used to the other players' gameplay. But that's basically it. The gap is not that hard to reach, to cross, and they can easily move back and forth. So this create some kind of instability for those organizations in terms of players and games they're gonna be focused on. So in the decision of EA Respawn, I hope they don't disregard totally now those organizations after this issue, and maybe they focus on the organization who are the most active in their games, same as they're doing for the content creators, when during the anniversary they develop some content creators skins and cosmetics. That would be interesting that they also do that with organizations like that. Organizations who have resources and incomes to provide and to add new things to the game beside it. If you look at, for example, TSM, which amazingly, it's a big coincidence, but they also won the last playoff in London. They were not the only team doing it, but their marketing and com around the event of London was quite remarkable. And for those who didn't see it, they reskinned their own skin. I believe they extracted the 3D models from the game, and they created their own trailer, their own skins with the legend they were using in a cool 3D trailer animation with Valkyrie, Horizon, and Seer, and that was pretty dope. And this was 100% made by TSM, which means that those teams have resources to even produce content for the game. Like basically at that point, when I look at those skins that TSM did just for their communication, it should not pose them any problem if EA Respawn asks them, okay, we're gonna create a skin and event for you guys because you've been the champion of the last tournament. We're gonna create the skins. Here's the 3D models. Send us the textures. Send us all the files that they need for them to have those textures, and then they can create a special content during the LGS or the future competition or during an anniversary for those skins, for those organizations. And they will have very little work to do on their side, since it's basically the organization who's gonna invest in all the design development and everything. And here is another valid point. If EA Respawn say that they don't want to share profit on their events, they actually don't have to, because you can create events after events after events and create more and more offers in your shop. And that's, I believe, an issue that the Apex store has right now, is very unappealing and has very, very low amount of products on the shelves. And they added a monthly skins, but once, I mean, if you guys started long time ago, try to remember when every week you were looking at the store with a lot of excitement, that you were really, really hoping, what's gonna be the new exclusive, what's gonna be, when everything was starting, like almost every week they were releasing a new exclusive skins or an exclusive cosmetic. And no, I don't have the skin yet, can I craft it, can I buy it? And you have this excitement. But it's been a long time now that they didn't release any new skins or any real exclusives, and the story is getting a little bit boring. But so adding those extra content could be cool. Like all the TSM fan will be able to massively bring some income in the game, and it's not like they have to make a huge investment. EA Respawn, it's not like they need to rent a new place to do a pop-up store in 10 different cities around the world, or they need to remove some of the products on their shelves because to put some new products. We're talking here about an online store. So you can create a new page, add as many products as you want. It's not gonna, it might impact your sales, obviously, if people rather buy those skins that you need to share revenue with the normal skins that you're trying to sell. But I believe there is place and room for both of them, because you have people who have all the skins that they want, are tired to see those recolors, sometime even with the price buffed up, with unnecessary Apex packs or banner that they don't care, or emote that they don't care, and they will not buy the skins. But creating new content will also help. And here it's not only organization, it can be also brands like they did for Market, or franchise like some other game like Fortnite did with Star Wars and Dragon Ball Z. And this brings a lot of new blood and new energy and new excitement in the game. So I'm really wondering what is gonna wait Apex in the coming after season 16 is over, when people realize, okay, the new player mechanics are cool, but yeah, it's still pretty much the same. Like nothing has changed. Really, the store is still boring. The event skins are still buffed up with recolors. These new heirloom recolors, I don't know if I'm gonna spend that much now that I got my heirloom. Is it really worth it? What did you do with the recolor of this Battle Pass Peacekeeper skin? Are you guys for real? Like, this new season, yeah, it's exciting, but did they rework the SBMM, EOMM? Not really. Do you still end up in rank or pubs with people who are barely level 100? Yes. Did they improve the game crashes? I think this season, at least personally for me, has been worst in terms of issue with the game. Almost every day my game freeze and crash. The game crash itself also. You got a blue screen or you got a code net. So this hasn't been fixed, and apparently they fired a huge amount of tester. They closed basically a testing company, around 100 to 200 people, who were mostly working on testing and improving the game Apex. So this is also another worrisome potential concern we might have for the game. They decided to terminate Apex Mobile. The revenue of the game compared to Apex Legends, even though the game was quite solid and even acknowledged like Game of the Year through iOS and Android, the revenue, I think they made like 40 million during the release, can understandably not compete with $1 billion revenue that the main game has. And since they didn't really manage to connect the Apex Mobile and a normal one, obviously doing cross platforms, and like console PC would be extremely difficult to achieve. But so I guess that was inevitable to create this game with his own entity. But the fact that they decided to close it, to terminate it, they call it sunrise it. Now this is the word that we say. We don't say that we cancel the game or that we're gonna kill the game. We're gonna sunset. Sorry. We're gonna sunset this game. That's I don't know if it's a euphemism or a tragic poetry, but that's not a term I would use. Anyway, sad for the people who enjoyed and especially invested financial incomes and time in the game. This is a big bummer. So yeah, where does Apex stands from now on? what's gonna happen in the next months. I think I'm gonna watch closely the next LGS and see also how the other organization are gonna be active in the game, because this is gonna be an important factor if you plan to play the game for the next, I don't know, 10 to 15 months. Apparently they are expecting Apex to still thrive from 5 to 10 years. This is their expectation. If you compare it to a game again like Counter-Strike, it is doable. Some games have done it. We don't need to have Apex Legend 2 coming anytime soon, obviously. And this is gonna set the scene. So I really believe this year is gonna be extremely important and decisive in what the future of the game is gonna be shaped from this new season. And having a new legend next season might bring the usual normal hype, but we need more things. We need the excitement that they brought this season 16 should be an extremely good signal for them to know that there are still an insane amount of players who love the game, who are hyped for it, who are screaming for improvement, who wants to be heard. And this was the first good step. The LGS London was and the outcome, the aftermath of it, were not so good. So we need to see how it goes from there on. And those are some extremely interesting subjects that I'm looking forward to talk more, and some to enlarge and really like consider and look forward also from you guys' opinion, and what we can do from that. What will really make the game a thriving experience for the next years to come. And I believe the investment in the human factor is extremely important. Not only considering players are as financial money spending entities, and not being totally focused on new players, even though I totally agree that a game needs to survive by keep adding new players, since eventually long-time players might stop for a short period of time, or definitely a game. So adding new blood to the pool is also important, but the way they are doing it and the way they are mixing those new players, and not only mixing but also treating those new players with the veteran players, if I may say, needs also to get more consideration and rework, because right now it's not really working, and I'm not sure that the experience on both ends is really there, from the pure perspective of the game itself to the way they're gonna interact and progress and evolve together within the game. So that will be an interesting things to talk about. And that's it. So very hopeful for this year, and I really hope that the game is gonna thrive and keep surprising us through the next event and modes that they're gonna add, and hopefully not too many new boring recolors, please. And I really hope that this year is gonna be detrimental in the longevity and success of the game for its future. Voilà. Thanks for being there and participating in this first podcast. And we'll be back probably on a weekly basis, or as soon as I found something interesting to talk about, or we're gonna also have some new guests coming out on the podcast. So this is gonna be pretty cool. And enjoy your weekend playing Apex. There is also a huge UFC heavyweight title fight this weekend. So this also for the UFC aficionados is gonna be very interesting to follow up. And I will be seeing you very soon, rather on the new content I'm gonna drop, or through this new podcast that I've been working on now from the last beginning of the year, and I'm super happy and glad that this first episode went through, and should be a promising future for the PGM zone and all of you guys, its community, and thanks again for all the support and love that you keep giving. So I'm down out from my bunker, and I'll still stay there for a while until we're back on Kings Canyon, hopefully. We have some custom games also planned. I hope we can find enough players to join up. So in the meantime, I will just stay in my bunker and look forward to see you guys very soon.